the leadership of CII, and all our friendly countries from across the African continent for their active participation, for their support in making this an annual feature, in making this a grand success. My dear colleague ministers, excellencies from Angola, Burkina Faso, Chad, Malawi, Niger, and Tanzania, all the friends from across the African continent who have joined us this evening, excellencies, delegates, the President of CII, Mr. Sanjeev Puri, Mr. Noel Tata, Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, captains from industry, Jumbo. It's indeed wonderful to see the brotherhood, the friendship that the people of India and the people of Africa and the several countries in Africa, the businesses between India and Africa, the political leadership of the countries of Africa and India, growing from strength to strength, sharing very deep bonds, looking at ways and means to expand our cooperation. Just like Prime Minister Narendra Modi had said, and I quote, India's engagement with Africa will continue to be guided by 10 principles. The first and foremost principle is Africa will be at the top of our priority. And I'm very sure that the various initiatives taken in this regard, least of all, the initiative by Prime Minister Modi to bring the African Union into the G20 as a full-fledged permanent member, our effort to raise issues of common interest at various multilateral fora like the WTO, protecting the interests of the global south, of less developed countries and developing countries in Africa, the various forms of assistance that we have been able to give from India through the 196 lines of credits, aggregating over $12 billion to over 40 countries. All of these are only the beginning. We have a long way to go. I see tremendous potential in this beautiful relationship. And I am very confident, listening to my colleagues, my friends from different parts of Africa, that truly we are very aligned in our desires, in our ambition, in our aspirations. We all are looking for a better quality of life for the people of our countries. We are all looking to attract greater degree of investments to bring for our people the fruits of increased trade. We are looking to strengthen our economic profile, our growth, and to sum it all up, leading to greater prosperity and a better quality of life for the people of Africa and India. We have had a very good trade record last year, in the year 22-23, where we clocked nearly $100 billion. Our overall investments in Africa are about $47 billion. But again, on both these scores, I think there's so much more we can do together. Recently at the Global South initiative, where Honorable Prime Minister had spoken about a global development compact between the countries of the global south, I think leads us to a lot of possibilities and opens the avenues, opens the door to identify areas of mutual interest and expand our bilateral relationship in those particular areas. I was happy that many of the ministers spoke of very specific items. It could be critical minerals, it could be mining, it could be tourism, as you mentioned. Some really big opportunities await us. And each one of us has very fond memories of some of our trips to Africa or your trips to India. And I can never, for example, forget my own time in Kenya when I visited Masai Mara, not only to see the jungle safari, but I also experienced a very brilliant way to connect the capital city with different cities along the way and to connect Nairobi with Masai Mara through almost a shuttle airline service. And that has left such an indelible mark in my mind that I've always looked at when we can emulate that in India. Therefore, we all can learn a lot from each other. I'm sure there'll be a few success stories in India that can open the doors and the pathways for some of you in your countries. And likewise, we will continue to learn from your experiences. If I may suggest that we should now look at this India-Africa initiative and connect that CII has been so successful in developing in terms of building up actionable agenda and achievable goals or targets, intersay India and different countries, different regions of Africa, and see whether we can set targets to ourselves, long-term, medium-term, short-term, identify specific areas in which we can all proceed, progress, and then benchmark our success stories, our achievements, the outcomes of these targeted efforts, and course correct if we need to, but look at truly tangible outcomes which will bring even further juice as the CII India-Africa Conference enters the third decade next year. Sharing our development experiences with each other portends a very bright future for the people of Africa and the people of India. I would like to suggest 6 areas for collaboration and cooperation as a way forward to take this relationship to the next level. First, can we look at doubling our trade? So far, we have only a few African countries who trade with India. In fact, 33 countries do not participate in the DFTP scheme that has been introduced. Can we look at getting more and more countries to enjoy the fruits of this partnership and set a benchmark to double this trade number from 100 billion to 200 billion between Africa and India? I would say we should look at doing that in the next 7 years so that we can at least target a 10% growth every year. Our strengths in agriculture, pharma, textiles, the automobile sector, the renewable energy sector align very well with the needs of Africa, and your strengths in areas like mining, in tourism, in several other agricultural products, in several manufactured goods that are produced in Africa will help us complement each other so that we can share the fruits of an increasing trade and move towards more and more equitable trade between Africa and India, also between each country of Africa and India. Number two, can we look at information technology? Can we look at the IT sector driving deeper technology penetration in Africa, helping us to take digital public infrastructure developed in India to support your infrastructure development needs, your health needs, your financial inclusion needs, your effort to take benefits to the common man, the last man at the bottom of the pyramid. We employ technology in a big way in the digital world. We employ technology in a big way in our effort to bring transparency in our government processes. We employ technology in a big way to create jobs for the people of India. And I'm sure a technology-driven partnership will further strengthen the bonds between Africa and India. The third would be music to some of the young children and men and women in this room, the entertainment sector. I'm sure there will be potential to take forward the entertainment sector between India and Africa, given our mutual strengths in this sector. In fact, Tanzania's influencer Kili Paul became quite a rave, not only in India but across the world, using Bollywood music. And I'm sure several areas of cooperation could also include sports for taking forward our partnership, our friendship. Fourth, mineral-rich Africa can complement our increasing needs for critical minerals, particularly for the big thrust India is giving for the electric vehicle sector. I'm sure sustainable practices in mining can be an area of collaboration between Africa and India, and value addition of these minerals, both in Africa and India, can be undertaken through joint partnerships and collaborations. Fifth, on food security, India would have several offerings for the African countries. Likewise, we have good demand for oilseeds, for pulses, lentils, and similarly other products which we import in large measure, cotton, rubber, where African countries, if they are already producing, could be a source for India, or we could help you in your plantation sector to develop newer products for export to India. Finally, sixth, the MSME sector, the small and medium enterprises, play a critical role, an increasingly important role, both in Africa and in India. I'm sure we can work together to create more jobs, to help support the MSME and entrepreneurs in this sector in Africa, in India, and help them expand relations with their counterparts in Africa or in India. Of course, I had thought of talking about the startup ecosystem at greater length, but I do believe we could look at engaging with the startup systems in the African countries that have started one, and help other African countries in seeding the startup ecosystem in your geography, so that our young men and women, our entrepreneurs, our innovators can help come out with newer ways and solutions to the needs of the common man to help them live a better quality of life. Friends, a resurgent Africa and a rising India can give a very strong impetus to South-South cooperation. We talk about Viksit Bharat, a developed nation by 2047. India is set on a path to make India a developed country by 2047 when we celebrate 100 years of independence. In a way, it's a wake-up call for all of us developing and less developed countries to aim big, to aspire for big goals, and collectively support each other in our quest for prosperity, in our quest for the well-being of our people. Let us work together for a prosperous Africa. Let us work together for the good future of the people of Africa and India. Thank you very much, Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. May I request all our dignitaries on the dais to please come forward and stand together for a photo opportunity, please. Ladies and gentlemen, our next session will follow soon. Please remain seated and maintain decorum till our dignitaries on the dais have left the room, please. Thank you. So we have a token of appreciation.